أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذي أذهب الله عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي فضل أمري إلى الله بصير بالعباد سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد Assalamu alaikum jamian wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everyone to our second session into Ayatul Kursi, and I did really want to share the Shani Nazul, the reason of the descent of Ayatul Kursi and how it came and what was the background. I still haven't got to it. To share the background, and I did go through a couple of tafasir and I didn't find anything, so I'm still on the lookout for how and the why behind the verse of the throne, and also the significance of its name. So please bear with me, inshallah. In 1 or 2 sessions I will find something with Allah's will and share with you. So last time we started with Allahu, and we were talking about Allah is the one who bewilders, and we said that life bewilders us and things come to us that we don't expect, and things come that we have not known. So the fear of the unknown has to be overcome. Now the next letter in this after Allah is La, and it is the verse is Allahu la ilaha illa huwal hayyul qayyum. So we're seeing this way of conversing that Allah is sharing with us, which is Allah, no, there is no Lord except Him who is the ever living and the ever subsisting. So first we go into the commentary of the La. And the word La is really, really essential, because when we say the Kalma Shahadat, when we do our La ilaha illallah, La is the first letter. So there has to be some really, really big importance to the La. And this La is basically the La of Nafi, of saying no. And for the human journey, in the spiritual journey, La is the emptying. It is the letting go of whatever that we already are. And I think that most of us, at least I, have not gotten past that stage. Because once, they say that if you have a vessel, and in that vessel there is already dust and dirt and poison and whatever there is, and if you put in some fresh water, that water is going to be of no benefit, because the vessel was already filled with something from before, and whatever new is going to come is just going to get mixed with whatever there was of the old, and there will be no pure solution to that adding of the pure. So our hearts also have a lot of who we are, and therefore our hearts, even when we are shown any kind of guidance, any teacher, any books, any reading, any knowledge, the already whatever is there starts to affect what we are learning. So therefore, the message that we are supposed to receive doesn't come to us through as a pure message or in its entirety, because there is already something there. Now, what is already there can be so many things. It can be how I was brought up and my culture and my conditions. And mostly it is my beliefs. And what beliefs do is that they will affect my judgment, they will affect what I think, what I conclude from what I'm learning. So the biases and the prejudices that we hold on a daily basis start to affect our thinking, our way of doing life, the way we interact with the world. And so if we see this journey of the law, where we want to get rid of who we are, there's a hadith which is associated with the last Imam, Imam Muhammad Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Faraja. Allahumma salli alayhi. And in that hadith, he says that remove yourself from the way and I will come. So in a real way and in the esoteric way and in the spiritual way, the me has to go, the I has to go, so that what can come, the true guide can show up. Imam Muhammad Mahdi esoterically and energetically is someone who has to invoke, who has to evoke, who has to ignite and activate the true guide within all of us. And so for us to experience that guidance, for us to experience that truth within us, which is the gift of this era, of the 12th Imam, we have to let go of who we have already held on to. Now, what we grew up with, our beliefs, they are not just the beliefs that we grew up as children. Beliefs are being formed as we grow as well, according to what interactions we have in life. And therefore, just yesterday I was talking to somebody and she was saying that, Fatma, people who do bad things and, they're selfish and they get everything in life, and she was talking about herself and she was feeling down and she was saying, people like us, we just keep talking to God and we keep connecting God, we get nothing. And she was making a joke and she was saying, these people, they know how to manipulate. And, I've seen women around me, they will just cry their way out and they will, get the pity and they will get the sympathies and they'll get whatever they want through these manipulative crying. And I don't know how to cry, so I need to learn how to cry. And, she was just venting with me, with a friend. And it reminded me of something my teacher taught me. And he said that, we were talking about something else, but he said that everything can be used like a knife. A knife is used to cut food and prepare a healthy meal, and a knife can be used to kill somebody. In the same way, we can use everything in our possession, everything in our faculty, everything in our resources, in our power, for a negative purpose with a not so pure intention, with not so clear and good intention. And it can also be used for a manipulative, it can be used for a good intention. So we have that choice of setting the intention of using whatever we have. Therefore, everything on the outside reality isn't the real deal, isn't the significant thing that we're after. But the way we interact with it, the way we use it, the way we perceive it, the way we absorb it into our deep character is why we are here. So Allah says that I created the world for you and I created you for me. So therefore, everything that has been created around us has to be used through our interaction to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And reaching Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala means reaching our own actualized perfection. And reaching our own actualized perfection lies in polishing of our character. So coming back to the idea of this interaction and having these biases and prejudices and the beliefs that we hold. These beliefs, they get absorbed into our subconscious mind as we're growing up, but they also get made as we are growing and interacting with life. How? I had talked about it last time in my session that I had a bad interaction with somebody, and that led me to create a belief in my mind that people are bad and they have bad intentions. Now, that may have been something I may have been taught, but that was also because I recently had an interaction with somebody who made me think that there are bad people out there who are out to get you and who cannot be trusted. But what also happened is that, as I had expressed to you guys, that I realized this through introspection and reflection. Wait a second, there is a wrong belief system and there is a wrong um, background conversation in my mind. There's a tape running in the back of my head, which is convincing me that the world is a bad place, etc. That awareness and that realization could have come to a place with a very, very, very normal way of thinking. And I could have continued to think, yes, I am thinking that there are bad people out there who cannot be trusted and people have bad intentions. Yeah, so that should be the way of my life. And I can choose that belief. I can choose that belief. But as we have said, that there are just two ways of doing life, fear or faith. And that the reason I was able to sieve it out and say, no, I don't want to hold on to this belief, even though some people would say, well, such beliefs are important for us to have a safe life. Such beliefs are important for us to not get, walked all over, thugged, cheated. There are corrupt people out there. True. But that is all coming out of a place of fear that I can be harmed. I can be mistreated. I can be walked all over. But the Quran is saying something else. In ahsantum ahsantum li anfusikum. Whatever good you do it to yourself. Whatever bad you do it to yourself. That means in reality, in the truth of this existence, no one can, even if they wanted to, harm us truly. Because in truth, we are the soul. And this journey is about the soul. And no one can touch the soul. No one can affect the soul. No one can harm the soul. And all of what will be harmed and done will be my decision. So they say that, on the outside, nothing really comes to hurt you. It is what you make of it in your mind. It is the perception you make of it is going to be harmful or not. So, someone can actually come and insult you or mistreat you or take you for granted, and then you can sit with it. And if the perspective of the reality that we want to live in, and if we have jumped out of that, absolute basic way of perceiving this world, and if we jump into that reality where we say everywhere I turn is the face of God. So I have changed one belief. It is not God is in the sky and this world is a world of people who are living on their own and interacting with me outside God. That was one belief that I have to let go, to come to the belief that wherever I turn is the face of God. Now I will perceive this person as a messenger of God. Now I will perceive this person as a conduit of God's message to me in this reality, because nothing, not even a leaf, falls without God's permission. So this interaction and experience in my life has happened through God's permission. So if everything is from God and everywhere I turn is the face of God, then this hurtful experience is also there for a reason. And so we go beyond that and we try to decode the message in that interaction. And then we will find something greater. We may find hurt people, and it may bring empathy in us. We may understand our own mistakes somewhere. We may realize that what they did to me, I have done it to somebody, and I need to set my affairs straight. There could be a lot that can come through that experience, which will be a very, very meticulously designed individual plan and experience for that person. Now, in the tafsir of Al-Mizan, I happened to read something very interesting today, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about his kalam. There's a philosophical discussion about the speech of Allah. And what I found beautiful connected to what I'm saying right now is that what Alama is explaining is that speech is not considered only the words that come out of our mouth. Speech is not just what I use as words and sounds that I express to you. I can gesture to you like this, and it will mean come here. And that means that speech is not restricted to my words. Speech is not restricted to my body language. Speech is not restricted to what I write in a book. Speech is not restricted to the videos I make. People make movies, art, theater. But speech is actually the message behind all of that. The important intention, the important reason of creating these outer means, which could be speaking through my mouth, creating a video, movie, theater, writing a book, poetry, piece of art, any of it, the true essence behind any of it is for me to give you a message. So that means that the cause has to be taken into account. The cause of whatever is expressed has to be taken into importance and not the way it is expressed. And so we say that the world itself was also the kun of God, the spoken be of God. God said be and it is. So the speech of God creates creation. The speech of God is what brings the unmanifested into the manifested reality. This unseen becomes seen when it goes through the passage of kun. God says kun and it becomes. So everything is now dependent on this speech. And I know this topic of speech takes me into a whole different discussion, but I'm going to go there, inshallah, as I'm guided. So that means that everything that we are experiencing in this life is a sound of God, is a word of God manifested. But what we are seeing now may be the speech of God, maybe what God is speaking and bringing into reality, but the true essence is not what we're seeing. The true essence is what is behind it, what is beyond what we see. Like we said, when we talk, the words are not important. The verbalization is not important. The hand gestures are not important. The way of conveying is not important. But the message behind that speech is important. In the same manner, in this reality, in this existence, whatever we are seeing is not the real thing, is not the real reason of creation. But the real reason of creation is what is beyond what we see. And which is what something we have been discussing for a long time in the discussion on symbols and archetypes. What we see are just symbols. But there is a deeper meaning behind these symbols. There is an archetype, there's a higher haqiqah, there's a higher reality that has to be grasped. And therefore, we have to go under the surface, deeper into our discussions, deeper into ourselves, deeper into the existence of this reality to be able to grasp why we are here and what is the purpose of life, and to then decode our journey and where it is taking us and what it is teaching us. In order for us to decode and see what the reality is, there's a hadith of the Holy Prophet where he says, Rabbi Arinal Ashya Kamahia. If I'm not right, I'm not getting the Arabic perfect right now. If anybody knows it, please type it in the chat. It's a very famous hadith. I get the Arabic wrong. And what it says is basically, oh Allah, show me things as they are. Arinal Ashya Kamahia. The way they are. Show me their reality. in order for us to see the truth, in order for us to see the reality, we have to let go of the lenses or the glasses or the tinted shades that we wear, because they change the color of the reality. They don't let us see things as they are. So there are veils. The symbols, they create that barrier for us to go beyond and see what lies beyond, what is the real, what is the truth, what is the haqiqat. And for that, we have to let go of our beliefs, of our biases, and of our prejudices. So again and again, our discussion comes back to the emptying, the la in the journey. And I may have repeated this, but I personally am struggling with getting past the la at all, because it is not easy for us to let go of who we are, right? The hadith is saying, let go of who you are so I can come. So the guidance can show. So the truth can reveal itself when you let go of yourselves. Now, the belief systems that we hold on to, a lot of times they get created through the experiences that we have in life, through trauma, through pain, through the way those painful situations were resolved by the adults we saw in our life and what they did about it. So that's why, if we hold this belief that, people get their way by crying around, or people get their way by, manipulation and things like that, this is something that we may have seen our adults doing. We may have heard this narrative that, things don't work out for me. Now, you see, this is the challenge of life, that what we think manifests. What manifests reinforces a belief. And in this cycle of having a belief, manifesting, and then reinforcement of that belief, we see Allah's hadith, I am in the opinion of my servant. And everywhere we turn is the face of God. Whatever we are seeing, we are in the present moment, hand in hand, working with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to create our reality. What we are manifesting, we are the co-creators. The awakening, therefore, lies in this realization that my thoughts and my beliefs are reinforcing my life, and my life is reinforcing my belief. In that hamster wheel and that cycle of belief manifestation, the human soul has to awaken. That one moment in which we awaken and we realize, I can break this cycle. I can get out of this thing that I'm caught in. So if I hold a belief people are bad and they have bad intentions and they're out there to cheat me, I will manifest people who will cheat me. When they will cheat me, it will reinforce the belief people are bad. It will reinforce the belief people are bad. I will experience more bad people in my life. But to break that cycle, what do I have to do? Okay. Awakening requires that despite what I see in front of me, I don't choose to believe it as my truth. Okay? And even though somebody just cheated me, I have to break out and say, my thoughts are creating my reality. So I have to first take responsibility of who I am and what I believe. Allah says in the Quran, a human being gets nothing but what they strive for. That means whatever we are striving for, whether it's conscious or subconscious, if I'm striving for a world which is unsafe, if I'm striving for a world where there is gender inequality, if I'm striving for a world where things don't work out, I'm the one who's creating that reality through my thoughts. So a person who can look in the face, look in the eye of a bad experience in life, and then say, I will choose not to make this my truth. I will choose not to make this my belief. I will choose not to make this my reality. But I will decide my thought, and I will choose to keep a what? A good opinion. Keeping a good opinion of life, keeping a good opinion of the universe is keeping a good opinion of God. And I posted just 2 days ago a hadith which from the Holy Prophet that said, let all of you hold a good opinion of God before you die. Make sure of that you hold a good opinion of God before you die. Now, when we see negative experiences in our life and we're standing in the middle of a bad experience, a person of faith has to awaken to the goodness and the power of God. A person of faith has to awaken and say, I will not let this be the end of it all. I will not allow this experience to define who I am. It will not define me as a cynic. It will not define me as a hopeless person. It will not define me as a person who gives up on life because things are not good and working out. So it's a swimming, you have to swim upstream. You have to go against the flow of the negative experiences in life. And you have to literally become like a lunatic who is seeing bad happen and still choosing to believe in good, who's seeing the atrocities of life and still choosing to have faith and not fear. Because while the planet Earth is one reality in a way, and we're all experiencing this planet Earth, and we're all experiencing COVID, and we're all living in this one reality, in haqiqat, in truth, each one of us is experiencing their own reality, and in their own way, they're experiencing life. So the good people that come into somebody's life are creating their reality. The good things that are happening in that person's life are creating a perception for them of life, which is good, which is nice, which is working out for them. Now, the thing is that there will always be something good to be grateful for, but some days you have to look harder for it, right? And therefore, there is always a decision to be made about having a good opinion of life and of a good opinion of God, which is what the Quran is saying, that you can choose between a life of Shakura and a life of Kafura. Now, life of Shakura is a life where you're grateful. And the life of Kafura comes from the word kafara or kafir, which is a farmer. And a farmer is somebody who hides the seed under the soil. And this is again repetition, but it's a reminder for me also. And we forget to be grateful on certain days, and we need to have this reminder every day. The farmer hides the seed under the soil, even though the seed is there, the seed is hidden. So a kafir is somebody who refuses to see the truth, knowing very well it is there. That is a kafir. A kafir is not somebody who doesn't know the truth, who has not been exposed to truth, who didn't realize what the truth is, who had no education of the truth. Because there will be so many truth seekers who may come into this reality on this earth, look for truth, not come to it, not reach it, and die. And they will still be considered, according to a hadith, a shaheed. Because a truth seeker dies a shaheed, a martyr, according to the hadith. But a kafir is somebody who is hiding something which is already there. So a life of kafara or and instead of shakura, the kafura life is the life where good things are there, but we're choosing not to acknowledge them, right? Now my hair is there. I mean, my breath is there. Things can get really, really bad, but my breath is there. It's there. Can I acknowledge it and be grateful? Scientifically, and according to a lot of speakers I've heard, gratitude is a state that overtakes the mind. What does that mean? Is that when you're in a state of gratitude, the brain becomes incapable of doing anything else. So choosing gratitude will enable us to be in gratitude, because the brain is then unable to think of other things at that time. It will only become one-way thinking. And it cleanses us. It cleanses our state of mind. It brings us into a state of joy because we are in a state of gratitude. State of gratitude means you are appreciative of what you have. Appreciating something means you're appreciating the goodness, the hasana in it, the husn, the beauty of something good. And beauty takes us into a state of joy, right? Flowers are beautiful and they bring a joy in us. So we enter a state of appreciating the perfection in an imperfect world, apparently. But while the world is looking imperfect to us and we are searching for the perfection and beauty in it, in reality, everything is perfect. The imperfection lies within us, our perception of the situation, of the way we're perceiving it. So we saw that through COVID, there were teachers who were teaching us to see the good in COVID. Because in God's world, nothing ever goes wrong. Nisargadatta Maharaj has this saying, in my world, nothing ever goes wrong. So in a world of the faithful, in the world of the faithful man or woman, nothing ever goes wrong. And therefore, that person who can come into a true state of inner surrender to this goodness of the world, and goodness of God, can then let go of the defenses to protect themselves constantly, can then let go of this constant state of saying, I need to stand up for myself and protect myself because the world is out there to get me. And when they enter this sweet state of feeling protected and loved and cared for in a world where nothing ever goes wrong, when they let go of their defenses of constant protection, they can become softer and more relaxed into experiencing life the way it comes, without the defenses and without constantly being on the fence. Because now they know that all they need to do from their heart, you see, faith will always be happening from the heart. Fear will come from the brain. Fear is coming from a state of wanting to protect and wanting to secure ourselves, because there's a fight or flight or freeze mechanism in the brain that puts us into a fear position. Now we have to grow out of that and we have to come into that higher reality where everywhere you turn is the face of God, having a good opinion of God. World is working out. Now there's an affirmation that changed my life. I was doing a meditation and it said, I am supported. I am supported and I am safe. Now that can just be so transformative if somebody's experiencing anxiety or panic or fear of the future, what's going to happen, is to just keep saying, I'm supported, I am safe, I'm supported, I'm safe. And that will start to show you ways in which the universe is supporting you and is protecting you. Just the fact that we're sitting on a planet that is moving at the speed of thousands of kilometers per hour, and we don't feel anything. There's no nausea, there's no motion sickness, there's no falling here and there. And I think in my next session, I'll share this very cute, beautiful poetry and children's literature book that I have about how the earth spins. And so we realize how much we are protected and how much we are taken care of in this world. And so we realize that holding on to this good opinion of God relaxes us. It helps us to just unwind and feel like we're safe. We're not in a war zone. We're not in a place of being taken advantage of. No one can do that. And so looking in the face of the world, the challenge of the faithful is to keep faith in the face of experiences in life that challenges not to keep faith. And last week, I had mentioned to you that I came across a person who took my faith away. Then I started to do thought work and cleansing of my thoughts and inner hygiene and all of that, because Allah brought that realization. This week, I met somebody extremely, in the same field of work and in the same, point of interaction, but extremely respectful and extremely kind and extremely honest and good at heart and amazingly, amazing human being. And it's just within a week of changing the thoughts that the world starts to manifest goodness, because now you realized there was a subconscious mind that was creating a certain reality, and you change your thoughts, you change your life, right? And so this is what I was telling this friend of mine, how fast and how quickly the world doesn't change, but your world can immediately change if you change your thoughts. If you change your thoughts into a state of goodness, if you change your thoughts into a state of faith, into your thoughts, into having husn billah, having a good opinion of God, and saying that whatever I'm experiencing, there is something in it. Instead of saying, why me, saying, what is in this for me? And constantly, it becomes a means for us to keep growing. And so for us to keep growing, we have to put our defenses down. We have to let this guard down. It takes a lot to become vulnerable to God. It takes a lot for us to say, God, I hand over myself to you, and I want to be in a place where I trust you, and I want to have a good opinion of you, and I will relax. I will hand myself over to you, because we have experienced a lot of hurt in our lives. People have hurt us. Sometimes we were too kind to them. Sometimes we were too giving to them. Sometimes we were very generous with them. And in return, we got a lot of bad experiences. Even then, a moment of reflection can awaken us into a way of doing life where we don't have to give up our goodness. Hazrat Ali alayhi salam says, if the bad cannot give up their bad, why should the good give up their good? So, awakening therefore requires inner work. Awakening therefore requires letting go of our old self and of our old beliefs that fall into beliefs of negative, beliefs of fear, so that we can do this cleansing and purification and enter a state of faith, enter a state of goodness, enter a state of saying, in my world, nothing ever goes wrong. And whatever we focus on increases. Whatever we will put our attention, that is wherever we put our attention, that is where the energy goes. Wherever energy goes, it grows. So if we put our attention and energy into good things, good beliefs, good opinion, saying in everything I can see good, Allah will show me the good in this as well. Sometimes you're going through experiences in life that don't make sense, and we keep saying, why? And I had a certain experience like this a couple of years ago. It was one of the most confusing, perplexing experiences of my life. I felt like I was led to it through a godly hand. I could not make sense of it, because at that time I was at my lowest, like mentally, emotionally, and I don't know why I was going through that. And my teacher kept saying, just wait, the answer will come. Just wait. There's a reason. Just wait through this. Just surrender to this experience. And it was one of the hardest things I ever did. But it was one of the greatest, if not the best, fruits of my life that I achieved through that experience, I feel. And so if we can hold that good opinion of God, then that is what we will see. Allah is saying, I am in the opinion of my servant. Do we want an opinion created in our minds through the negative experiences of our life, people, negativity, atrocities in this world? Or do we want to create a world that we want to live in? Do we want to be dictated, and do we want life to happen to us, and it's happening to me and I'm the victim? Or do I want to be in charge of the fact that life is for me? It's not happening to me, it's happening for me. This world is created for me. It is under me. I, being the Khalifatullah, being the one where Allah says that وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي, I have breathed my spirit into you, I possess a special power gifted to me through God, from God, in God, through which I can do a life which is very different from the layperson's life, from the unawakened life, from the life of slumber, where we're just on autopilot and life is happening and I'm thinking. And on autopilot, life happens to us, because negativity will affect me. I will go into my whining and crying and complaining, and then that will accentuate, because that's where my attention is going, that's where my focus is going. And therefore, we have discussed this in detail, that we ask Allah to constantly awaken us in every second of every second of every second, every partial moment, every millisecond. We want Allah to awaken us into this journey of purging myself of myself, into this journey of getting rid of me in every moment. Because in every moment, the outer experiences of the dense world, of this dunya, the heavy world, I am experiencing it through the 5 sensory organs, or the 6 or the 8, whatever physical sensory organs of my body. What I see, I absorb. What I hear, I absorb. What I touch, what I feel, what I smell, what I hear, I absorb it. When I have this influx of information entering this system through these sensory organs of what I see and what I hear, and what I experience and what I feel, then they enter a data box which assimilates and regurgitates this information, and then it starts to get digested if I'm not awakened. And without my power or control, this information starts to create thoughts in my mind. And therefore, if you see an accident on the road, the mind will automatically get triggered into creating thoughts of fear. And it will put fear into you about driving on that road, for example, flying in an airplane, if you hear of a plane crash, God forbid. And so what happens is that on an autopilot, this dunya is giving an influx of information input into my system. On an autopilot, if I don't intervene, my mind is like a thought-producing machine. It will take all that information and start producing thoughts. And if I, again, don't awaken at this stage, my mind will create thoughts and I will think I am my thoughts. Even today, after practicing mindfulness for God knows how many years and practicing meditation for so many years, so many times I catch myself going into a negative tangent because I forget and I lose hold of the idea that I am not my thoughts. And so in every moment, we have the challenge of awakening and connecting and making it a point to intentionally speak to God, verbalizing this speech to God. The minute we notice any kind of turbulence within us, we were in a good state, we were in a peaceful state, we were in a relaxed state, and any moment we start to feel a turbulence within. Why am I getting grumpy? Why am I screaming so much? Why am I unhappy? Why am I not feeling fulfilled? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on within me is that introspection of قَدَرَ فَنَفْسَهُ فَقَدَرَ فَرَبَّهُ. What is going on within me? Who am I? What am I being right now? Am I being Ghafoor or the opposite of Ghafoor? Am I being Rahman or the opposite of Rahman? Am I being Wadud or the opposite of Wadud? And so bringing ourselves back into the alignment of godly character by inner cleansing will happen only and only when we can let go of what the world feeds us, the beliefs that we create, going deeper and deeper, getting into conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then getting the answers to what's going on within. Like I said, when our inner world goes into turbulence, work of healing requires us to sit with ourselves and then understand that there is something that needs to be worked on, become aware of. And also remember that we talk about taqwa, and we talk about now taqwa as God consciousness. God consciousness is to understand the presence of God. And in order to understand the presence of God, we have to enter the present moment. And when we awaken to the present moment and we come into that presence of awakened, not a sleepy, slumbery, or a pilot state, but an awakened conscious state, that entails that now we are becoming aware of the inner ups and downs. And that presence of what's happening within us can lead us into a conversation with God. Of most of the time, my conversation is saying, God, I really don't know what's going on. Can you guide me? Can you show me? I'm a complicated being. I don't have that clear inner vision, my third eye, whatever. I can't figure this out right now. Can you show me? Can you show me? Can you show me? You know, which the prophet is saying, show me things as they are. Show me the reality of things. And so seeing the reality of things means that the law has to happen. Anything that is getting in the way of seeing the reality, that veil has to go. So moment to moment, we have to be in a state of that La ilaha illallah, in which the process happens from La, constantly asking Allah, do the La for me. I can't do it. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to lift that veil of not being able to see through myself, of seeing where the glitch is, of seeing where the emotional block is, of seeing what has triggered this. But you see, Allah is saying the one who yearns for me finds me. So that yearning has to come from within in every moment. And what, this inner work, this meditation work, this breath work, what all of that does basically in the end is that I noticed this with myself, that, since kids' schools have started and, I go to drop them and I drive myself sometimes. So I am in a rush and I'm going really, really fast and I'm overtaking cars and I enjoy driving fast. But then I realized that one action of being fast on the road was affecting my mental health, because I was setting the tone for my day with that overtaking, going really fast and, forgetting about the journey and just being focused on where I have to reach. And I was doing that with everything during the day. So I was not having, even if I'm sitting, my mind would be rushing to something that I have got to do or something I have to fulfill or where I need to be. And slowly, my inner wellness was getting compromised. My inner state of goodness was getting compromised. I was getting edgy. I was getting irritable. I was getting, very anxious about getting things done and getting upset at people. And so that calmness and peacefulness of saying nothing ever goes wrong in my world was going away. And as we leave our stillness and we go into a state of doing things really, really fast, and we leave that, pause in our moment-to-moment dealings with life, then we enter that state of egoic fear. So in stillness and in taking it easy and in relaxing into the arms of God, who says, look, I've got it all under control. I am taking care of everything. Nothing goes wrong in my world. Things are good. Having husnizan billah, having positive mindset starts to slip away when we don't give ourselves those pauses to remember that. Why? I will just end my session now with this final comment. I do keep mentioning this TED Talk where the lady is explaining how we are negative by default. So by default, on autopilot, the brain goes into that fast lane of creating fear, and that the fact that everything is negative and not working out, it's not good. And that's why I said that our journey is going upstream. We have to go against the stream. We have to swim against the stream, and that is the act of faith. That is the work of faith. When you're bombarded and you are engulfed and you're overwhelmed with all this negativity, standing up tall, having a good opinion of God, saying everything is working out, everything is good, nothing is going bad, my God is going to keep everything under control. He's my master, he's my protector, I'm safe in his protection of Al-Hafiz. I am in his guardianship, so I hand my affairs over to him. In that moment, we do an act of faith. We endure faith. We endure an act of faith, a goodness, a positive mindset. And that is why faith is what Allah is saying. Did you think that you would believe and you will not be tested? So remember, you start, sometimes you're in a place where you're keeping a good opinion and Allah will immediately show you good things manifest. But sometimes the minute you take the decision to come into a positive mindset, so many negative things may start getting bombarded on you. And if you awaken at that moment, you will realize everywhere I turn is the face of God. This is a challenge of my faith. And I usually, if Allah gives the tawfiq, and if I awaken in those some moments when I realize, of course, I do get mad with God and I say, what is going on? What is going on? Nothing's making sense. But if you do awaken, then you can have this very nice, I have this robust and chatty conversation with God where I say, God, come on, what are you doing? And then I just hang on to him and I say, you've got to get me through this. You've got to make it right. I've got to see the good in this. I'm not letting go of the good here. I'm not going to let go of the good opinion. I'm going to stand here and I'm going to wait for the sun to shine, and I'm going to wait here for you to show me the good behind it, and I'm not going anywhere. You want to challenge me? Bring it on. I'm not going anywhere, kind of thing. So awareness can give us that power to stand in the face of a world, drowning in negativity and still come out positive like the water lily in the mud. And that's why there is no lily without the mud. Alhamdulillah, shukran wa hamdan. We end our session here. We put our hands up for dua. Oh Allah, we come to you with our hearts broken and bruised, hurt and confused. Oh Allah, we come to you in our inabilities, in our weaknesses. And we come to you with a striving and a passion that you have infused into our hearts. Oh Allah, how is it that you may bring us to this stage and not fulfill our dua? How is it that you may put a desire in our hearts and then not fulfill it and bring it to fruition? Oh Allah, it is only and only you from the beginning till the end. Oh Allah, enable us to recognize your hand in everything, recognize your goodness in everything, to awaken to you in moments when we are in distraction and in oblivion. Oh Allah, let not a moment go by without our remembrance of you. Oh Allah, enable us to completely infuse our lives with your dhikr and your remembrance. For you are our beloved, O Allah. You are the beloved, and O Allah, let not the love of the beloved ever diminish in our hearts. O Allah, let the love of the beloved become the fuel of our lives. O Allah, let this love take us where we need to be in your embracing loving hands. Ameen Ya Rabbal Alamin.